Hey guys, this video is a high-level flyby for the new features and improvements to the latest version of Windows 10, labelled as April 2018 update. I'd like to start by saying that there may be additional features and fixes added by the time you actually get this update installed on your computer. Also, one or two features which I'm about to demonstrate were released just before the April update, but I think they still deserve a mention, so bear with me. So just a quick summary. The official objectives for this update are focused on improving performance, productivity, and the security of Windows 10. Like all updates for Windows 10, this update can be downloaded through the Windows Update service, or you can install the update using the Media Creation tool, where you can either do an in-place upgrade or you can download the ISO file to create DVD or USB bootable media. For more details on the Media Creation tool, watch my other video titled How to Get Windows 10 for Free. You can find the link for this below or click the information icon at the top of this screen. I'll start by sketching out the topics and we'll drill down as we go, and I'll try not to jump in and out of pages. But the areas which have received attention are Start Menu, Cortana, File Explorer, Timeline, Windows Settings, and I was originally going to include Microsoft Edge, but it appears that Microsoft had some last-minute changes, so to avoid further delay in the release of this video, I've decided to leave Microsoft Edge out completely. But if enough people ask for it, I'll do a separate video on just Microsoft Edge once it's finally released. So apologies in advance for that. Okay, let's jump over to the Start menu. Right-clicking on the tiles delivers a menu which is based on contextual options. The calendar, for example, is an app which can't be uninstalled, so the menu context is basic. Now right-click on the News tile, and the context menu for this includes an option to uninstall it. And the Microsoft Edge tile presents you with some task options. One more thing worth mentioning while I'm here. Notice how some tiles display a slideshow or mini animation. This can be turned off by expanding More and then clicking Turn Live Tile Off. You can now personalize the Start menu bar with your quick access links by right-clicking any one of the icons and choosing the preferences you want. To clear notifications from the Action Center, there was a button labeled Clear All. This text is now more descriptive and reads Clear All Notifications, and is more obvious now it's colored from the theme. If a notification doesn't support being dismissed, the toast icon in the notification area will show an X instead of an arrow. Also in the notification area, the Windows Defender icon now has more options available with the right-click context menu. The Run command has seen a new feature, although this was in the previous updates for Windows 1709, but I thought it deserved a mention. Let's say I wanted to open a command window with admin rights. Normally you would click Start, type CMD, then right-click on the CMD and Run as administrator. With the new version, just type the command in the Windows Run, and while holding Shift and Control, press Enter. The command will now launch with elevated permissions. When a process in the taskbar is suspended or has suspended child processes, there's now an icon displayed in the Status column of the Processes tab in Task Manager. And that's it for the Start menu, so let's tick that off and move on to Cortana. To get all the benefits from the Windows 10 experience, I recommend you sign in with a Microsoft account, which is free, and I've created one just for this video. Click on Cortana, then click on the notebook icon and then sign in with your Microsoft account. In Cortana's notebook, the lists and reminders that Cortana knows about are in the Organizer tab, and the Manage Skills tab is where you manage the skills which Cortana has learned. They're not your skills. Clicking on the pencil button opens the profile page where you can add places of interest for notification of things like traffic updates, weather and reminders. And that's all that's in Cortana, so we can tick that off and move on to File Explorer. In File Explorer, the folders under OneDrive will now show a cloud status badge in the left pane of the window, informing you of the sync status of any files in that folder. A cloud indicates that there are files only available when there is an internet connection, whereas a green tick indicates the files are fully synced to your computer. If you want to turn this badge off, click the View menu, select Options, select the View tab, and scroll down to Navigation pane, and uncheck Always Show Availability Status. That's all the changes for File Explorer, so we can tick that off, and then let's move down to Timeline. Timeline is an extension of Task View and allows you to locate and resume activities you were working on within the last 4 or 30 days, depending on the system settings, which I'll come on to in a minute. It might be worth pointing out that currently, Timeline only seems to record activity from Microsoft products, or should I say reliably. Google Chrome and Firefox didn't record anything, and the only other non-Microsoft product I tried was Audacity, which did record its activity. To launch Timeline, click on the new Task View icon, which is on the taskbar next to Cortana, or use the Windows shortcut, Windows key and Tab. At the very top, you have the option to have multiple desktops. Then underneath that is a list of all running applications, and finally the Timeline activities are at the bottom. To set Timeline preferences, go to the Windows Settings page, open Privacy, and click on Activity History. If you enable Let Windows collect my activities from this PC, Timeline will only retain 4 days of activity. To enable the full 30 days, you must enable the option Let Windows synchronize my activities to the cloud, which also allows the feature to sync your activities across devices. Unfortunately, you're not able to adjust the amount of days you can see in your timeline. It's either 4 or 30 days. On the timeline, you will see activities for all Microsoft applications you use on your computer, and you cannot exclude any. However, you can choose which account activities will appear in your timeline. Having said that, if you turn off the account from showing in your timeline, although it will stop showing on your timeline activities on the current device, Windows 10 will still be able to collect and show these computer activities on your other devices. To completely disable Timeline, you must uncheck both Let Windows collect my activities from this PC and Let Windows synchronize my activities to the cloud. Clearing the history will purge your history from all devices. Remember, Timeline is a global feature and will report on any Windows 10 device that uses the Microsoft account. And one final thing before we wrap things up with the timeline. If you want to resume a task with an app which is not installed on the current device, you will still see the activity, but Windows 10 will assist you to get the missing app if it's available from the Microsoft Store. If it's not available from the Microsoft Store, it will do nothing. And that's it for the timeline. Let's tick this off and move on to Windows Settings. The Windows Settings has received a major facelift, and starting with the home page, it has smaller icons and the titles are aligned to the left. Starting with the system, and first up is the display page. It's now possible to adjust the brightness for ACR, which is automatic content recognition, on the HDR, which is High Dynamic Range Displays, but unfortunately you'll need to have an HDR monitor to see this option. The advanced scaling is a feature to use if some apps appear to look blurry when display settings change, such as when docking or undocking your device with an external monitor or during a remote session. Advanced display settings is a new option to view more details about your monitor. And at the bottom, another new feature is the graphics settings option to customize graphics performance for specific applications on computers with multiple GPUs, or should I say multiple graphics cards. So from the list, I'll select Universal App, then choose from the list of apps installed, and click Add. Now highlight the app icon and choose Options. Choosing between power saving and high performance will determine which GPU is used for that specific app. It's probably worth noting that these settings will take precedence over the settings configured in other panes. Next on the list is the sound page, which is a completely new addition to the Windows settings page. I'm not going to go through the input and output as these are self-explanatory. However, at the bottom, there's a new feature called Other Sound Options. The app volume and device preferences is a new feature where you can set the volume for individual applications which are open, but because I don't have any applications open, you can only see the system sound. The sound icon in the notification area has also had its context menu updated. Next on the list, previously known as Quiet Hours, which was just a button in the Action Center, this feature has been rebranded as Focus Assist and has made its own place on the settings page. Focus Assist basically determines which notifications are important enough to present a visual and or audible alert, or whether to just send them straight to the Action Center in the background. If you choose to use the priority only setting, don't forget to customize your priority list, or nothing will be a priority, so you won't get any notifications. Under the automatic rules section, notice that not only do the options toggle on and off, but the actual option itself is clickable, which is where you set the options. Next up is the storage page, which now includes a feature called Change How We Free Up Space Automatically, and does exactly what the title suggests. Or you can invoke it manually with the Free Up Space Now link. The process scans your drive and presents a list of categorized files, which the system has identified as safe to delete, such as temp and log files, etc. And to finish up with the system page, the shared experience now includes Microsoft Account Management. Click on Manage Your Accounts, and here you can add a new Microsoft account. If you select an existing account and click Manage, you'll be taken to the new online profile page, where you'll be surprised to see that there's a lot of convenient links for you to hand over your hard-earned money. Pushing all that aside, under your name, click on More Actions, and here you can see the features you are actually looking for. Let's now move on to devices. Under typing, the new features include hardware keyboard and multilingual text prediction. This section also has an advanced keyboard settings page. The pen and ink page now includes a limited choice of font which handwriting is converted to. On the network and internet page, the data usage feature has received some functionality where you can now set the limit on each network interface to ensure you don't exceed data allowances. Moving on to the personalization page, where we've got the new font section, where you can manage the fonts with a nice preview to feature custom text. Just click on a font. With the new Windows, you can also download and install new fonts directly from the Microsoft Store, just by clicking Get More Fonts. Moving on to the apps page. There's now an advanced options link for most, if not all, installed apps. Just click on the app and then select its own advanced options link. A new addition to the apps page is the startup section, where you can stop applications from starting automatically as your computer starts up. What I don't see on this page is a way to start up a program, which I might want to set to start up automatically. Let's move on to the accounts page and go straight to the sign-in section. For those who don't know, Windows Hello is the biometrics technology to log you onto your Windows 10 device. Unfortunately, I'm unable to demonstrate this as my virtual computer doesn't support this feature. But the goal is to move away from passwords which can easily be compromised or forgotten. No more having to change your password. Windows Hello is a more personal and secure way to unlock your device. This includes facial, fingerprint and iris recognition, but it's only available for devices which support this technology. Of course, there's always the PIN or password to use as a backup, or for devices which are unable to support the Windows Hello feature. Under the passwords feature, you can now set up security questions to self-help users who forget their passwords. Click on Update your security questions, and it then wants me to confirm my current password for this device. I can then choose my questions from a limited list, but it's better than nothing. Pet's name, computer tutor. City I was born in, computer tutor. Childhood nickname, computer tutor. And then click Finish. I'll now sign out. And then I'll sign back in with the wrong password. Setting the security questions is also part of the local account creation process. Underneath the password box, there's a new option where I can reset my password. Then you can now answer your questions. And if suddenly you remembered the password, just click cancel. Now it took me a while to find this, but if cancel is not showing, you should be able to scroll down here. Right, let's jump back into Windows settings and go straight to time and language. The region and language section has been updated to show the supported features for each language with these icons in the top right. They are language display, text-to-speech, speech recognition, and OCR handwriting. And you can see that not all languages support all features. Let's go back to the main settings page and into ease of access. The first thing to notice is that the topics have been subcategorized into vision, hearing, and interaction. Also, many features have been renamed to be more descriptive in addition to the descriptions themselves. Not going into too much detail, I'll summarize the changes as we go down the list. On the display page, you can change the size of icons and text on the screen, alter the size and color of the cursor, make everything brighter. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply to some of the users, but enable, disable animations, transparencies and scroll bars, and also how long the scroll bars are visible for. Enable and disable the desktop background image, and at the bottom there's a shortcut to the personalization page. On the cursor and pointer size, you can change the thickness of the text cursor, and as the title suggests, change the size and colour of the pointer. Onto the magnifier. Now, although the magnifier is not getting any new features, the features list of shortcuts, which was like this, has now been broken up and displayed under the relevant options, like this, which makes a lot more sense. The old colour and high contrast page has now been split into two separate pages, and the colour filters page is the first one. There's plenty of new options with meaningful descriptions and a colour wheel to aid colour blindness assistance. and the second page is the high contrast, but has no new features other than its own page. And the narrator has seen quite a few changes. Being active before anyone has actually signed in, synchronizing the settings to the cloud, change the voice volume, emphasize on formatted text. Some of the toggle switches have been replaced with checkboxes, and you can change the level of detail that the narrator provides about text, buttons and controls, and the narrator cursor. A new addition to the ease of access page is the audio, but there's only a few options here. Change the master volume. There's a shortcut back to the sound features on the system page. There's a link to get to the audio properties. You can turn on mono audio and an option to visually show audible alerts. There's no changes to the closed captions, and that brings us to the interaction section. And the speech is a new addition where you can enable or disable speech recognition, and there's a shortcut to Cortana's configuration page. There's no changes to the keyboard, and on the mouse page, most of the options have been moved to the cursor and pointer size page. But here you can enable the numeric keypad to control the mouse. And there's a shortcut to the mouse features on the device page. And that's it for ease of access. Let's move on to Cortana. And the only new option here is the addition of Across My Devices, which to no surprise lets you manage Cortana across your devices. Now let's look at the privacy page. The menu has been split into two subcategories: Windows permissions and app permissions. Pages for documents, pictures and videos have been added so you can easily choose which apps have access. The feedback and diagnostics is now Diagnostics and Feedback and has better descriptions. Here you can enable the diagnostics viewer, and when you try to launch the app, if it's not currently installed, you're redirected to the App Store to get it. Once it's installed, you can then delete some or all of the data which your computer has collated ready to send to Microsoft. Microsoft collect data to improve future features, such as next word prediction and spelling correction in the auto-correct feature. This can be turned off with the ink in and type in toggle. Activity history is the timeline, which we've already covered. Then we've got location, which is where you can enable or disable location tracking. Set a default location when tracking is not possible. Clear your tracking history. And customize which specific apps can use the location services. At the very bottom is the new file system page, which is where you can permit or deny apps access to all your files, including documents, pictures, videos, and the local OneDrive folders. And finally, update and security. Nothing has really changed here, but if we look in advanced options, we can now do updates over metered connections. And you can also enable reminders for restarts. Click on Delivery Optimization and then click Advanced Options. The Delivery Optimization page now allows you to limit the download bandwidth. One thing worth noting here is that Windows updates will prevent a computer on mains power from going into hibernation for up to 2 hours, which gives the system a chance to complete any updates. And finally, Windows Security, previously labelled Windows Defender, provides access to the Windows Defender Security Center. These options are just shortcuts to the different areas of security, which is monitored by Windows Defender. That brings us to the end of the Windows settings updates, so we can tick that off. That's it for this Windows 10 1803 release. The next feature release of Windows 10 is due out around September 2018. So for now, thanks for watching. If you like this video and found it informative, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe.